Hello and welcome to the long-awaited return of the Hellraiser Boxing blog. Today's Hellraiser blog going to look at big fight coming up this weekend between Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz Junior. First, let's look at the stats. So Anthony Joshua, 6'6", reach of 208 centimeters. Andy Ruiz Junior, 6'2", reach of 108 centimeters. There's 20 centimeters reach advantage to Anthony Joshua. Obviously, if Andy Ruiz can get in close, slip the jabs and get his shots off, then there's probably an advantage to have shorter arms. But if Joshua plays his hand as best as he's capable of, he should have an advantage, especially if he can use his feet to create sort of lateral movement. He should be able to keep Ruiz at long range for longer. Can he do it for 12 3-minute rounds? That's difficult. In fact, I don't think he can do it for 12 3-minute rounds, but I'd like to see him use his long arms. If you remember, like Lennox Lewis or Vladimir Klitschko, they would just extend the arm, and they knew, I've got such reach advantage, I can just hold my hand out there and he can't come any closer. I'm safe, I can stay calm, you know, not burn myself out. Whereas if you're constantly throwing the jab out all the time, especially when you're bulked up like Anthony Joshua is, going to burn a lot of energy. I'd like to see Anthony Joshua use some of that, you know, just put the hand over the eyes, boom, and then come with a right. Seen that plenty of times from Lewis and from Vladimir Klitschko. Okay, so the reason why I didn't like the selection of the opponent is that, I mean, as I've documented in previous blogs, if you look through the Hellraiser Boxing blogs before, Andy Joshua does not like fighting short guys who move their head. This we've gone on about. I mean, firstly, go back to the amateurs. Dillian Whyte isn't particularly short, but he moves his head very well and he crouches down, bends his legs so that he sits right down, low, moves his head. Beat Joshua in the amateurs, gave him a nightmare the first time they boxed in the pros. Carlos Takam gave Joshua a load of problems. If you look even in the amateurs, after the first fight with Dillian Whyte, Mihai Nistor used head movement, he stopped Joshua, gave him a lot of problems and stopped him. So you have to ask the question, you know, how Andy Ruiz ended up getting the green light, because he's exactly the sort of stereotypical fighter that we know Joshua does not perform well against. But he did get the call. His answer was yes. Maybe he was the cheaper option. You don't know. You know, I mean, certainly we've ended up as a very expensive option in the long term now. But he managed to swing it. He got his opportunity. He got his foot in the door and seized his opportunity with both hands. Maybe they looked at Ruiz, because physically he looks very unimpressive, Andy Ruiz Junior. He looks like a blob. I mean, he doesn't look like an athlete. He looks like a sort of, you know, he's carrying a lot of weight. And maybe to some people, but the thing is, you've got Robert McCracken in there. You know, he's an experienced coach. I can't imagine that he would have been the one to pick that opponent. And the thing is, like in America, you've actually got a massive pool of fighters who physically look very impressive. They've got great records at heavyweight, and they can't really fight. And look at what Tyson Fury's just gone, the 2 fights he's just had. No one's really complained about it. It's been a show. It's been an event. People have enjoyed it. They've been there. Surely Anthony Joshua could get away with it at least once, fighting one of these guys with a good record, because what they've actually given him there is a guy who looks physically unimpressive but actually can really fight, really fight. And even before that bout, watch the Hellraiser blog, we were saying, you know, he's got a lot of the attributes that we know Joshua struggles with, and certainly in America, a lot of the contacts I've got there were saying, oh, they picked the wrong guy in Ruiz. You know, he's got everything to be a problem for Joshua, because Joshua quite upright and stiff, against a guy who got that Latin movement, that head movement, that caused massive problems on the night for Joshua, and very quick hands, where he was able to get his shots off, I think, far more easily than probably anyone else has against Joshua. It was a pretty dispiriting defeat. I mean, you could see the enthusiasm draining from Joshua every few 30 seconds of the fight. You know, it was going from bad to worse still, to worse again, to even worse than that. in the rematch, I think Joshua, he needs to get a lot of those demons out of his system. I think he actually has to go and own the fight. He has to go and take it by the scruff of the neck. He needs to make it his type of fight. He needs to take the centre of the ring. He needs to keep Andy Ruiz at long range for as long as he can. He's not going to be able to keep him for 3 minutes of 12 rounds. At some point, Ruiz is going to come inside. But for me, in the first fight, when Ruiz comes inside, Joshua looks like he's panicking. In fact, I'd say for the whole fight, even before the fight, he looks like he's panicking. I mean, before the fight, the first thing that I didn't like in Joshua, and this wasn't panicking, this was more, I mean, publicly and in the press conferences and the press interviews, etc., Joshua is saying, "Oh, I respect Andy Ruiz. He's a dangerous opponent." Right? He didn't. I don't believe that he actually meant that. He didn't believe it. I don't believe that he felt that in his heart, because imagine this: if it had been Anthony Joshua against Deontay Wilder, and at the press conference, Deontay Wilder says, "Oh, let me just try all your belts on." I'm certain, I bet my house, that Andy Joshua would have said, "No way, you're not touching those belts. They're mine. You stay right away from them. You're not having anything to do with those belts." Well, this is Andy Ruiz, and although he said, "Yeah, I respect him. He's a great fighter. It's a big challenge. I'm up for this." In his heart, I don't believe that that's what he meant. It was like a tell, like in poker, you look for what someone actually says and what they actually are thinking is different. And what Andy Joshua said was that. But what he was actually thinking was, this is just a blob. This is like a fat lump that I'm going to box his ears off for 3 or 4 rounds and then I'm going to knock him out. And I think he convinced himself that this is going to be an easier assignment than what it actually, well, obviously, than what it turned out to be. But I don't think that he actually had that nip of fear in his blood when he boxed Ruiz. He let him wear the gloves. Like I say, it was a very a dispiriting defeat. He was hurt repeatedly. He was knocked out. He was beat up in the end and stopped. I thought the referee was absolutely correct in stopping the fight when he did. So the rematch goes to Saudi. I've got to say again, the first thing that sprung to mind when I saw the rematches in Saudi, I thought money grab. I thought they're going for the money. Maybe they've lost faith in Joshua. They realise this guy's got his number, and they're just going for his. Because certainly, if I was managing Joshua, and it might not be financially the best thing to do, but to give him the best chance, that fight would be in London. I'd make concessions. I would give leverage away in the financial negotiations to get the fight in London, because I think home advantage could make a big difference. Joshua looked very, even though I know even in the amateurs he's boxed out in America and won, here he looked very unsettled. He looked like he did not feel comfortable in the environment. He didn't want to be there. He looked like he really was nervous beyond what was justifiable. Like he was just more uncomfortable than he needed to be. And I think when he goes to Saudi, it might be better second time round because he might have been able to make adjustments psychologically. But I mean, physically, you've got to think Ruiz lives in the desert and he's going to Saudi, so the temperature in Saudi isn't going to worry him, even if it's blistering hot. Even though I understand that the actual arena itself is air conditioned. He's used to that environment, and even when you're in the desert in an air-conditioned environment, the air is actually different. You go to the casinos in Las Vegas, the air you breathe in is different. If you stay there for a long period of time, you're not used to it, you can get blood in your nose. It's a different environment, and Andy Ruiz will be more used to that environment than Anthony Joshua. I think the venue surprised me somewhat. I thought they would make sure he had all the home advantages to give him the best chance of the win. Now he has to go out there, and he really has to. For me, Joshua, to win this, he has to perform 10 out of 10. Has to be the best Anthony Joshua. He needs to, even if it means boxing boring. Like, for example, look, he's got this massive reach advantage. Even if Ruiz walks past it or manages to slip inside his jab, he's just like, look, we've seen Lewis and Vladimir Klitschko do it. Even Muhammad Ali used to do it. Put his hand, just hold him at range, there, and then don't panic. You can calm down. You can just keep him. Can't come no closer than that. You can't hit him from out there. You keep Ruiz out. He's got 20 centimetres in reach advantage over him. Rather than trying to jab every time, because Joshua's quite muscle bound, so all he's throwing like loads of jabs, that's going to tire him out. And Ruiz has got that head movement, so those jabs aren't even hitting him. You know, most of them going over the shoulder, boom, and he's coming inside like that, boom, boom. So I want to see Joshua use that reach advantage and stay calm. You know, look, he proved he can hurt Andy Ruiz Junior. He dropped him heavily. He's the puncher of the two, despite the fact he got knocked out. He's the puncher of the two. He can use that range. He can use that length, that advantage that he's got, to keep him on the end of the jab. And if you don't keep him with the jab, hold him there. Just keep him there. Can't come closer than that. Stay calm. Keep you're there. If he starts pushing pressure, you can feel the hand coming in. Boom! You bring the right hand across. But what I hope we don't see with Joshua is he starts panicking, starts trying to sort of swing and go for it, and that will make it into a more exciting fight, but a more exciting fight in which he's got a much higher chance of getting knocked out. Joshua here needs to minimise risks. He needs to fight on discipline, not instinct. If he fights on instinct, yes, it might be more spectacular for a shorter period of time, but he might get knocked out as well. Very real chance he could get. We've seen him get sort of dropped 4 times and stopped before. So I want to see him here just get the win. That's it. Can Joshua hurt Ruiz? We know that he can. He dropped him heavily. Can he outbox him for 12 minutes of 3 minutes of 12 rounds? He doesn't actually have to outbox him for 3 minutes of 12 rounds. If he wins 7 rounds, he's won the fight, as long as he doesn't get knocked down. I want to see him win rounds, just bag as many rounds as he can. If he gets to 7, then he just boxes safe. It doesn't matter if you box boring. You know, it doesn't have to be like a Rocky movie every fight, you know. Let's just get the win. Go and stay calm and use the ethics that the work ethics that he talks about. You know, staying hungry, staying focused and staying on that. He has to put that into practice. It's all good talking about it. He has to now, when he's going to be under pressure, and Ruiz now will think he's got his number. He'll think, yeah, I'll just get inside again and let go with flurries of punches and he'll come undone. Joshua here, we need to see a 10 out of 10 Joshua. We need to see Joshua really on his game, using his reach, using his jab, using his straight punches, punch to the chest. When Ruiz is using that movement that was so successful in the first fight, hit him in the chest with the first punch. So you can keep him at long range. You're keeping him out there rather than letting him come in and then let go with flurries. I'd like to see Joshua use the uppercut inside. When he comes in, tight, okay, lose that period of the round where he's inside, just be safe, catch, and first opportunity, come up through the middle, because Ruiz is down, he's there to be hit with the uppercut. Okay, so bearing in mind that I think Joshua can keep him at long range, can minimise risks, and can outbox him, and also can outpunch him in the moments where he needs to outpunch and hurt Ruiz Junior. I'm going to go for, as long as he can stay disciplined, and a lot of people seem to be going the other way, but I think Joshua can win this on points. I mean, he could stop, as we know he can hurt Ruiz, he could stop him, but I think I would rather him just settle for a points victory, psychologically prepare himself for 12 hard, disciplined, steady rounds where he outboxes Andy Ruiz Jr. and where he doesn't deviate from that path, where he doesn't decide, because what happened in the first fight, he looked like he hurt Andy Ruiz, and suddenly all the discipline went out because he was getting sick of this bloke. He just wanted to get him out there. He just thought, right. And as he tore in, that's when he got hit. That's when he got hit with the first shot that done nearly all of the damage that led to the other knockdowns as well. I would like to see him stay disciplined, nice and tight, settled, calm down, get his mental state right for 12 3-minute rounds, get through it. Anthony Joshua on points. If you've enjoyed today's blog, please hit the subscribe button, and I look forward to seeing you again soon on a Hellraiser Boxing blog. Cheers for watching, guys. See you soon. Bye.